What's good? It's Woog. We are continuing our 2024 Grammy Awards coverage. We are going through the categories, we're predicting winners, we're picking our winners in terms of who we think should win the award, and we are giving some Grammy history in the process. And in this video, we are taking on Best Alternative Music Album. This is one of my favorite Grammy categories because it's such a wide umbrella. And traditionally, it used to cover like alternative rock, grunge rock, but over the years, it's kind of become interchangeable term-wise between alternative and indie. So all of the subgenres that you could think of that could be considered within the indie realm, they're all in play here, like folk rock, shoegaze, dream pop, indie soul, blues rock, electronic rock, chill wave, different types of punk or post-punk, art rock, art pop, experimental rock or pop. And then there's the traditional alternative rock. And then there's like singer-songwriter. So there are so many different styles that could be considered alternative music. And what I usually hope for when they're announcing the different nominees is I usually hope that they go beyond some of the legacy acts or some of the usual suspects, if you will. Like, I want them to dig a little bit deeper than to go with the obvious Radiohead, U2, Coldplay, Beck, and artists like that. Arcade Fire is another one, because every year there's so many different good albums within these indie subgenres that are released from all kinds of like emerging alternative or indie artists or bands. Then when you look at the list of nominees for that year, you'll see, like Vampire Weekend or somebody. It's like, oh, damn, we can't get some new blood in here. Nothing against Vampire Weekend. I love their music, especially their first 3 albums. But 2023 had a bunch of very good and interesting releases. And it's not like I'm wanting unknown artists to pop up here in the Best Alternative Music Grammy category. I get that the Grammys are about big, right? So you got to have at least some name recognition. So it's rare when a rookie comes through and makes the list. But there have been exceptions. Now, some of the artists that I thought dropped very good stuff in 2023 that I wanted to see nominated here, I'll give you like 20 to 25 of them. And I'm just going to rattle through these ones really quickly. But these are some of the artists that I was kind of hoping to see nominated here. The Lemon Twigs with Everything Harmony, Bonnie Prince Billy with Keeping Secrets Will Destroy You, Sufjan Stevens with Javelin, Joanna Sternberg, which I get they're a new artist, so I wasn't really expecting to see them here. But Joanna Sternberg dropped a really good folk rock album with I've Got Me, Kali Uchis with Red Moon and Venus, Geese with 3D Country, Jeffrey Martin with Thank God We Left the Garden, Corey Hansen, he's the frontman of Wand with Western. Lil Yachty dropped a psychedelic rockish album called Let's Start Here. Feeble Little Horse with Girl with Fish. I get they're a new artist, but Feeble Little Horse with Girl with Fish. Kara Jackson, another new artist. Why Does the Earth Give Us People to Love? Caroline Polachek, especially. I was expecting to see Caroline Polachek with Desire, I Want to Turn Into You. Tizo Touchdown with How Do You Sleep at Night? Tizo Touchdown is a pretty new artist, but they really had an elevated stature and some visibility with that debut album. Very versatile. Cutworms with their self-titled album. Very good work. Jessie Ware with That Feels Good. If she was nominated in one of the pop categories, I could understand that as well. But I was just hoping to see Jessie Ware with That Feels Good nominated somewhere. Christine and the Queens with Paranoia, Angels, True Love. Youth Lagoon with Heaven is a Junkyard. Amaray with Fountain Baby. Anoni and the Johnsons, My Back Was a Bridge for You to Cross. Witch with Zango, which was a Zambian band back in the 70s who reunited in recent years and released an album this year called Zango. King Cruel with Space Heavy. Mitski with This Land is Inhospitable and So Are We. Yves Tumor with his latest album, Vagabond with Sorry I Haven't Called, and Lorraine with I Killed Your Dog. There are others that could have been considered, but those were just some examples of who I would have wanted to see nominated here, or who I thought it would have been interesting if they were nominated. If nothing else, just to give them more visibility and to get more eyeballs and ears on some listen-worthy music rather than artists who already have like a pretty big name. Now, this Best Alternative Music category has been around since '91. The first winner in the category was Sinead O'Connor with I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got. Rest in peace to Sinead O'Connor, who passed away last year. And in other years, you've had some classics that were either nominated in this category or who won the award. Like in 1995, Green Day won it with Dookie. In 97, Beck won it with Odelay. The very next year, Radiohead won it with OK Computer. Now, the most wins in this category is a three-way tie with 3 wins apiece. It's Beck, Radiohead, and the White Stripes. Each have 3 wins, and then there are 3 more artists with 2 wins, they being Coldplay, St. Vincent, and Vampire Weekend. So again, Beck, Radiohead, the White Stripes are tied for the lead with 3 wins, and then there's Coldplay, Vampire Weekend, and then St. Vincent, who just won her second a couple years ago with 2 wins apiece. The most nominations in this category, it belongs to Bjork with 9 nominations, and I've done multiple videos about this in the past. Bjork, out of her 9 nominations, basically every album that she's dropped after her album debut, so from Post onward, every time she's dropped an album, she's been nominated, but has never won the award. I almost look at that as being some sort of a sick joke. 0 for 9 in nominations for Bjork in this category, and she's in the lead with nominations. And then in second place, after Bjork, it's a tie between Beck and Radiohead with 8 wins apiece. After that, it's Arcade Fire with 6 wins. And then it's a tie between PJ Harvey, who's nominated this year, and Tori Amos with 5 nominations. And then there are 2 artists that have 4 nominations, Death Cab for Cutie and Yeah Yeah Yeahs. The most recent winner in this category, I was talking about how there have been exceptions where a rookie basically wins the award. It was Wet Leg, who won it last year with their self-titled debut. They beat out Arcade Fire's We, Big Thief's latest album, Bjork's, who was nominated again with Fesora, and Yeah Yeah Yeahs were nominated with Cool It Down. By the way, I didn't think that Yeah Yeah Yeahs or Arcade Fire with We should have been nominated this year or last year, because again, there were so many artists with more interesting projects that I thought were better than those 2 albums. But without further ado, let's get into this year's nominees. We've got Arctic Monkeys with The Car, Boygenius, that's the supergroup, the singer-songwriter supergroup of Phoebe Bridgers, Lucy Dacus, and Julian Baker with The Record. We've also got Lana Del Rey with Did You Know That There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard? By the way, I've always thought that she was referring to the Ocean Boulevard, literally 1 block away from where I am right now in Long Beach, California. I haven't read up on whether that is the Ocean Boulevard that she's referring to, but I do know that near downtown Long Beach that there is a tunnel, a historic tunnel under Ocean Boulevard. She's nominated this year. And then we've got Gorillaz with Cracker Island and PJ Harvey with I Inside the Old Year Dying. Now, the Arctic Monkeys, they have done successful genre or style switch-ups a couple times. If you listen to like their last couple of albums, it's very slow rock or even art rock, ballads. You know, it's slow tempo, down tempo. It's almost hard to believe that this is the same band that years ago when they were like debuting with Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not, which I guess could foreshadow their style switch-ups, because as soon as you see them as being one thing, they kind of shapeshift by the time they get to their third album, Humbug. But yeah, that debut album had that song, I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor. It was kind of high, you know, up-tempo, almost punk-ish. And they had switched it up by the time they got to their second album, Favorite Worst Nightmare, and the song like Brainstorm or Fluorescent Adolescent. And then by their third album, and then I remember kind of disliking their AM album because I thought that their single, Do I Wanna Know, sounded like a Black Keys ripoff at the time, because that was shortly after Black Keys dropped the Brothers album. And, you know, they were kind of working with that modified blues rock sound. And I thought, you know, when I first heard Do I Wanna Know by Arctic Monkeys on the radio, I thought that it was Black Keys. But again, they've had recent style switch-ups where they go more ballad-centric, like on The Car. I really like that album a lot, by the way. It's just that you would never know it was Arctic Monkeys if you had seen them as being the band that they were when they started off. And then there's Boygenius, again, the singer-songwriter supergroup. And I did like the record. I mean, there's some really good songs. I really like the song Cool About It. I like the song Not Strong Enough. I like the song True Blue. By the way, those first 2 songs are nominated in different categories. One of them is nominated in Best Alternative Music Performance, and then the other song is nominated in the major categories. And this album, The Record, is nominated for Album of the Year, cross genre. So it's not only nominated in the Best Alternative category, but it's nominated in the major category, as is Lana Del Rey's Did You Know That There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard. She's nominated in the major category. And I like this Lana Del Rey album as well. My favorite song from the album, might be Fingertips. I mean, her storytelling on this album and just like the pictures that she's painting and some of the dark narratives and stark tales, it's very vivid and visceral. She's very cinematic. In Jack Antonoff's production, it just facilitates her songwriting so well. I mean, Jack Antonoff's the one who collaborated with her on Norman effing Rockwell, which was one of the best albums of the year that was released. But yeah, I like the song Fingertips. I really like Kintsugi. I like Candy Necklace with John Batiste, who's also nominated in the major category this year. I like Paris, Texas. I like the song A&W, which was also nominated not only in the Best Alternative Music Performance category, but also in the major category, Song of the Year. A&W, that's a very dark song. If you listen to its content, like its concept, what it's about, you could just look up, Google A&W and just read the lyrics and you're like, damn. And by the way, that Candy Necklace song with John Batiste is nominated in the Best Pop Duo or Group Performance. But yeah, I really like that Lana Del Rey album. Then there's Gorillaz Cracker Island. It's not my favorite Gorillaz album. My favorite from them have been Plastic Beach, and then the album before that, Demon Days. Those are my two favorite Gorillaz albums, but their albums after that, they've all had their very good high points. Like there's a song on this Cracker Island album called Skinny Ape that I really, really like. It's a sick song. And Damon Albarn, who's also the founding member of the band Blur, who also released a pretty good album in 2023. I was surprised that Blur wasn't nominated, but they are performing at this upcoming Coachella. So Damon Albarn, he's always got his hands in something. He's either working on a Gorillaz project or he's working on a Blur project. But Gorillaz, there's always something creative and experimental going on production-wise. That's what I always look for in Gorillaz projects. But I feel like they have kind of trended more towards a more predictable electronic pop. But that's not to say that the songs aren't good, and they always have some very good features like Tame Impala, Booty Brown from The Far Side, or formerly of The Far Side, are on this latest album. Hell, Stevie Nicks is on this latest album. Trugoy, rest in peace, from De La Soul, has always been a frequent collaborator with Gorillaz as well, as has Posdnuos from De La Soul. But yeah, Gorillaz are nominated here. This is one of those slots, nomination-wise, where I think that it would have been better served to have a different artist, like somebody who I had mentioned earlier in the video, one of those albums nominated here instead. Like Gorillaz, I get that they're super popular. It's an event anytime they release an album, but I just feel like it takes away from the opportunity for some of these other artists to gain bigger exposure when the nomination slots for Best Alternative are taken up by, legacy acts like Gorillaz and Arctic Monkeys. And then there's PJ Harvey, who has become kind of iconic in her own way. I mean, ever since like splashing onto the scene in the 90s with kind of an alternative rock edge, and over the years has slowly become more and more avant-garde with her rock and with her style. She had released a few albums through the 90s, and then in recent years has been much more sporadic. Like she made a big comeback after, her 2007 White Chalk album. She made a big comeback with Let England Shake in 2011. That was one of the most critically acclaimed albums of that year. And then like 5 years later, she released an album. And then 7 years after that, she drops this I Inside the Old Year Dying. It is kind of an avant-garde art rock style album. It's not, very pop, but it's very pleasant to listen to. Like I could play this whole album through and it feels pretty unskippable, but it doesn't make like the biggest lasting impact. It's not songs that'll just blow you away with it's not bangers, you know what I mean? It doesn't have like a hard edge to it, but it's pleasant. It is pretty artsy, and conceptually it's pretty tight, very thoughtful. So she's kind of matured her style over the years, and this is her latest. And by the way, you know how I said Bjork had been nominated 9 times, never won the award? Well, out of PJ Harvey's 5 nominations, she has never won the award. Now, who do I think should win and who do I think will win? Well, okay, let's start off with Boygenius, because I feel like this is going to be a big year for Boygenius. I mean, Phoebe Bridgers' name has grown immensely in stature over the past 2 to 3 years, basically after the release of her Punisher album. Like she has performed solo on SNL, and Boygenius as a group recently performed on SNL. And although I like the album called The Record by Boygenius, there are albums from each of these 3 members that I like more than the collective Boygenius album. Hell, I like 2 Phoebe Bridgers solo albums more than this The Record. But like I said, I feel like Boygenius is having their moment this year. Like they were on the cover of Rolling Stone this year. Now, from an enjoyment standpoint, I think that Lana Del Rey's album is my personal favorite out of these 5 nominees. After that, probably Boygenius. Although I did really enjoy both the Arctic Monkeys. I mean, listen to the opening song on The Car album from Arctic Monkeys. Listen to that ballad. It is just such a damn good song. And that's how they open the album. The Car is a very good album, and I really like PJ Harvey's album. But I would like to see Lana Del Rey win it this year. I mean, she's never won this award before. And that's partially because I think that she's considered more of like a pop artist, like somebody who belongs in the major categories. Although I do think that Norman effing Rockwell album should have been nominated, and hell, could have won the award in the year that it was released a few years ago. But I wonder if she even submits her albums for consideration in the best alternative music album category. I would venture to say no, because she's been nominated in major categories before, but not in the alternative. So I'm wondering if this is like the first time that she decided to try for the best alternative category. But her album is my favorite out of the 5, so I would like to see her win. But in terms of who I think will win the award, I think it's a 2-artist race between Lana Del Rey and Boygenius. And that's because if you are nominated for Album of the Year, cross-genre, you would think that you would clean up in the genre-specific categories. So I don't see Arctic Monkeys, Gorillaz, or PJ Harvey, who were not nominated for Album of the Year cross-genre. I don't see them beating the 2 artists who are nominated for Album of the Year cross-genre. So I think that it's going to be out of Boygenius and Lana Del Rey. But again, I think that this will be the year that Boygenius wins a lot of awards. Maybe they only win the genre-specific awards and not the majors. But I think that this will be a big year for them. Again, I feel like they're having their moment. So if I had to predict, I think that Boygenius is going to win in this category with The Record. By the way, I was wanting Phoebe Bridgers, if not Fiona Apple, who did win the award in 2021 with Fetch the Bolt Cutters. If she didn't win the award that year, I was hoping that Phoebe Bridgers won it with Punisher. And there were some good other releases that year. There was Brittany Howard with Jamie, Tame Impala with The Slow Rush, and Beck with Hyperspace. But Phoebe Bridgers didn't win it that year, but I think that she's going to win it as a part of Boygenius this year with The Record. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this category and what you think about the nominees. Who do you think should win and who do you think will win? And if there are any other alternative albums that you would have liked to have seen nominated this year, let me know who they are in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you love music like I do. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.